about to start.
Hold my heart, oh, let my weight hang in your hands. There's something right inside your eyes I just might understand. I don't know how, what a strange and sudden sound, but we're not strangers now.
Finally found
Love in the underground.
You pulled me out of the blue, far from the thunder of the trains passing through. And though the streetlights hide the moon, I see starlight shining through.
Hold my heart, oh, let my weight hang in your hands. There's something right inside those eyes I just might understand. I don't know how, what a strange and sudden sound, but we're not strangers now.
Finally found
Love in the underground.
in the city of a million doors. Open one, there's a million more. So is it that you're waiting for?
I don't know how, what a strange and sudden sound, but we're not strangers now.
Finally found
Love in the underground. What a strange and sudden sound, but we're not strangers now.
finally found
Love in the underground.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next L train is now arriving on the Manhattan-bound track. Please stand away to the platform edge.
So Love in the Underground, far away.
Yeah.
Well, it was kind of an interesting song for us. It was a monumental landmark because it was the first song that all three of us really heavily contributed to the lyrics. Usually what happens, I mean, authenticity is very important to us. And so I think the best way often to get that is to have one person's voice really guide the storytelling and the character.
Right. So, like, you'll have somebody, one of us from the band will come in with, like, a skeleton for a song, basically. So, like, sort of a general idea of melody and, like, a lot of the lyrics. And then we sort of all, like, huddle around and, you know, figure out what works and what doesn't work and start to use the instrumentation to kind of build the song. Because, like, so much of the harmonies and stuff aren't just decoration for us. It's all very sort of kind of, like, built into the fabric of the songs. So yeah, so it is interesting because Love in the Underground was very much like all of us sitting in a kitchen in one room, like I can't even remember who wrote what in this song, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, because we were entered into a competition. It was the Coffee Music Project. And that was happening, I believe, like the first round was on a Monday. And for the competition, you were performing an original song and then a song that you wrote about a topic, and the topic was New York. And so we were like, time got away from us, and it was the day before, and we said, "Oh my gosh, well we have to write a song."
Wait. We can go further back though, because like really the story starts with we got accepted into the competition. We were on tour in North Carolina. We were sitting around having brunch, and we got this email, and we were talking about ideas for the song, and we were like, what could encapsulate life in New York? And we really wanted to frame it in a positive light, because typically people can be really dark about New York and say like, oh, it's so hard to be an artist in New York, and that seemed like an easy choice. So we wanted to tell a positive, uplifting story, which was readily available to us because, in fact, Sydney and I met on the subway.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. When we first, Sydney and Regina had gone to school together, and they had co-written songs over their time at school. But when I met Sydney, I was just playing music on the subway. I got really into busking the first year that I moved to New York, and Sydney came down the stairs, and it was a relatively deserted subway stop. So essentially, I was just playing songs for Sydney. And
did she have her cello?
She didn't have her cello, but I found out very quickly that she was a cellist because I started talking to her. And then when the train came, I was like, oh, actually, I was going to get on the train. So, yeah.
Let's go on together.
We'll take the train together. And then we started talking, found out that we were both musicians. And
well, she could tell you were.
Yeah. I kind of led with that. But it was a totally random kind of chance encounter that happened in a way that really... I mean, it could happen in public transport anywhere, but New York subway system is very iconic to New York, and as like kind of a mixing pot, melting pot for everybody.
And like the fact that like such a formative experience could happen like in that second, because of something that was like built in New York was really exciting. So we actually named the song Love in the Underground before we wrote anything else. Like we decided that was the title. Like at brunch that they were like, okay, we're going to write about meeting. Okay, Love in the Underground. That's a good title. And then like
also because the competition was run by these really wonderful people from London, and so that's the reason that we called it the Underground instead of the subway. Although
I don't think that's not the reason.
I mean, I think
no, that's not the reason. That was a happy coincidence. Yeah. That's not. We weren't thinking, oh, we're going to win this British competition. We're going to say the Underground. No, Love in the Underground is more poetic than Love in the Subway. That sounds so dumb. Yeah. No, that is false information.
And the rhymes would have been totally different if it was Love in the Subway. We like the rhymes and Loved in the Underground.
That's fair. So when we actually got in the room, we usually do. We're very lucky as a band because we don't need to rent. Most of the time, we don't rent rehearsal space. We are very acoustic. We have pretty minimal percussion, so and we don't have a bass player, so we're able to kind of work around a kitchen table. So that's where we do a lot of our work. And we were just sitting around the kitchen table, and we really like kind of mapped out the story together. Like Regina would say a line, and we'd be like, "Oh, I like that. How does that sound in a melody?" And we talked it over for this whole night, and we basically wrote the entire melody, and maybe not the bridge. There were some holes in it. And we had one more day to rehearse it after that, and we kind of smoothed it all over just in time for the competition. We went for the first round of the competition, and we ended up making it through to the next round, which we also won a couple weeks later. And so nice. the prize is actually going to London and playing at the London Coffee Festival and recording the song there, which we basically just kind of used as an exercise to demo it out.
Yeah, because this particular song is really special because we worked on it after the competition as well, which I feel like is a little bit more unique and also something that we're doing more now, where we are like this particular song, they as a whole, the way that its first iteration, we were pretty happy with it, but there were some moments where we're like, oh, I think that could make more sense, or that could be, I'm not a biggest fan of this as I could be, and we went back and we changed a couple things, and
we rewrote lyrics after that after probably about 9 months after we'd written the song, we were going back rewriting lyrics, and then even a year later we revamped the bridge,
which is a big reason why it's not out yet, because like this song is such a calling card for us because it's so distinctively us, like the instrumentation, the harmonies, everything is so us, and the story, of course. But one thing about this that I do think the whole like British competition thing did influence was that we found these harmonies that we were like, oh, that is kind of Beatlesy. And then we like really leaned into that in this song. And so I think a lot of the songs we've written post Love in the Underground have had a little more Beatles influence as well, I would venture to say. Not in like any sort of like obvious way, but that was a really good sort of, just to find out that we could do something like that was a cool milestone for us, I think.
I think that you hit on one of the things I love about your sound, and that is the combination of this unusual instrumentation and harmonies. Mm. And in particular, I think you are the second rock cellist that I've actually seen, but the first one I've actually listened to a recording of, and kind of funky. So tell me about that. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, I mean,
the only other one. I was in Austin, Texas, on 6th Street, and there was a cellist and a guitarist, and I was like, "Oh, I never saw that before."
Mm-hmm.
You know, but
fast forward to Bandits on the Run.
Yeah, well, I mean,
that wasn't you, right?
No. Maybe in another life. Who
We
knows?
played in Austin.
Oh, you have?
Yeah,
on the street in Austin.
But the funny thing is, I think that it's becoming more of a moment now, like having strings in more rock and folk bands. Which is funny because like when we first started playing together, people like assumed we were like a bluegrass band or like a super folky band, which like I guess is just like from the way we look and our instruments. But we've had to like really draw a line and be like, no, we have our own sound, we're our own genre. Just because the instruments look like this doesn't mean that that's who we are. And I don't know, but there's cello baked into a lot of pop and rock songs, you know what I mean? It's just when it's someone playing it live and singing and standing up, then that like really brings that to the forefront, which is unusual. Yeah. And because it's such a melodic instrument, but the way we use it, we also use it as a percussive instrument, because for the longest time we didn't have a drummer, and now Adrian's feet are the drummer because he plays a suitcase drum. But it's a bass, and I use it as a bass, but it's a very versatile instrument because it's so similar to the human voice. Like, so a lot of times it's our fourth band member, like vocally speaking. So it's really an invaluable instrument in the band for sure.
Yeah, I have so much artistic respect for Sydney for being able to sing and also play a lead line at the same time. That is not easy, especially without frets. I can't even say that I would be able to do that on a guitar. But I think one of the things that kind of defines us is that we're really just working with what we have as artists, as instrumentalists, and with our voices. You know, we are constantly pushing our boundaries with what we have. But like for instance, we've never really had a drummer, so we've kind of found ways to be that percussion, that rhythm section just between the three of us, whether it's Regina playing the shaky banana and the tambourine, which is those were the chief instruments that you started out with. And then the addition, now I have a suitcase kick drum that I use just to kind of like give a little bit of foundation. I also have a foot tambourine that I play in our live sets. And yeah, Sydney really does hold down the bass line a lot of the time. But amazingly, she's also able to give these soaring cello solos. So it's kind of an amazing dual purpose instrument or array of instruments that we have.
Yeah, well, I think that people respond to our music, and I think a lot of that comes from, it's really, really personal to us. Like, we are working with what we have, and we've never ever tried to fit into something or change our sound to fit into a certain mold. We really are led by what we like as individuals and as a group, and our tastes are super eclectic, and our strengths are super eclectic too. And I think that that's been really lucky, and in the alchemy of all of our different backgrounds has led us to the sound that is sort of like, you can't quite pin it down into one genre, which has been frustrating at times because the number one thing people ask is, what genre are you? And we're like, well, we're a little bit of everything. But I love that, and I wouldn't change it for the world, because I think that music, and at least the music that I like to listen to and the artists that I really enjoy, I feel like always are kind of playing with genre. And I feel like the lines between genres are sort of floating a little bit as more music is more accessible.
Well, definitely there's harmonies in every song, it seems like.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Harmony is the backbone. I mean, I would really consider harmony the essential voice of Bandits on the Run. We don't do a song where there isn't 3-part harmony in some aspect. Also, our arrangement of having 3 gives us the ability to have like a leading voice and a backup section of voices, which is really a wonderful versatility.
And we're unique in that we switch off who's the lead voice. So that also gives us more versatility.
Yeah, and we trade, I mean, I call it the stack, like who's singing the low, the middle, and the high. We don't have like a set arrangement. I mean, we have like kind of some sweet spots that we found over the years, but oftentimes me and Regina are trading who we're switching back and forth, or me and Sydney will switch back and forth, or Sydney and Regina will switch back and forth, and we'll do these like crossing harmonic lines. And so like it's always really fun to be arranging with these wonderful humans because we try lots of different stuff. And
well, it definitely for me evokes the 60s, and definitely you mentioned the Beatles. I also think of the Mamas and the Papas and the Byrds and Crosby, Stills, Nash, and the classic Laurel Canyon harmonic sound. And I don't know if that would be a way to describe, they didn't use a cello and a suitcase drum as much. I don't think.
I mean, that was actually a lot of what we were listening to when we started. And in fact, for a while we were playing kind of like more in the vein of like doo-woppy and 50s and 60s.
Totally.
rock.
And I was also thinking Phil Spector produced without the wall of sound. It was like kind of like these Shirelles kind of a lot of,
We played a Shirelle song when we first started.
Yeah, because we were busking in the subway. We were obviously just starting out as a band, so we didn't have many original songs. So a lot of the covers we would choose to do would be things like that, like the Shirelles or